Come on. Crown jewel. Very good, very good, very good. Almost. Shad Shiromani. The crest jewel and the cream. Shad is cream. Kevala Ananda Kanda. Kevala Ananda Kanda.
Kevala Ananda Kanda.
This is Bengali language. Bengali language is, so some people here from Bengal. We have Chatterjee here, we have Surit Karanga here. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in Bengal, which is eastern, central, north part of India. And so there are many prayers in Bengali language. And we're from the United States, but you can use everything in Krishna service, and even though we don't know these Indian languages, they're very, very descriptive. And not only that, but the teachers of Krishna Bhakti, many of their literatures and prayers were in Bengali language. So if you can learn a little bit like that, it can become very, very meaningful and potent. So we'll sing. We're just going to sing this first line, what we learned today, and let's see if you can follow it. You know that when you learn spiritual teachings and spiritual prayers and stuff like that, they tend to stay with you in your mind and your consciousness, in your heart, and they can save you in difficult times. You know that. Because everybody in this world, there's always going to be difficult times. But the person who can really protect us, that's God. Vaccine won't necessarily protect you. In fact, sometimes you get a vaccine, you'll die from the vaccine. But God can always protect you. Because He's the Supreme Personality of God. He's in charge of everything. So, Kevala Ananda Kanda. We'll sing this prayer. All right. Parama Karuna Kahurijan Nitai Gaurachandra Parama Karuna Parama Karuna Kahurijan Nitai Gaurachandra Parama Karuna Bahurijan Nitai Gaurachandra. I don't hear very much, not very loud. Parama Karuna Bahurijan Nitai Gaurachandra Parama Karuna Bahurijan Nitai Gaurachandra Shab Avatar Shar Shiramani Kevala Ananda Kanda Shab Avatar Shar Shiramani Kevala Ananda Kanda Parama Karuna Bahurijan Nitai Gaurachandra Parama Karuna Bahurijan Nitai Gaurachandra Parama Karuna Bahurijan Nitai Gaurachandra Parama Karuna Shab Avatar Shar Shiramani Kevala Ananda Kanda Sab Avatar Shar Shiramani Kevala Ananda Kanda Sab Avatar Shar Shiramani Kevala Ananda Kanda Koti Vaishnava ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai Prem se kaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gopattu ki jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopina Cham Kundu Radha Kundgiri Devi Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi ki jai Gaur Premanande all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glory to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Krishna Padaya Krishna Krishna Avitare Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Shanami Janamani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Puchani Nirvishesha Nirvani Paschati Siddhari Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming today. Thank you very much. I was going to chant a verse, but it doesn't look like it's going to be on there. Anyway, the first verse of Chaitanya Bhagavad Gita. Ajanu lambita pujo. You know this one? Ajanu lambita pujo. Kanukavatato sankirtanai kapitaro kamalaya taksho. Vishwambaro dvijabaro yubadharma palo. Bande Jagat Priyakaro Karunavatar. You know this one? That's the first verse of the Chaitanya Bhagavat. There, during Lord Chaitanya, what's that? 1486 Christian era. And in that time in Bengal, they had a different calendar. It was 1407 Shaka era, but 1486 Christian era. And you can think about it, you know, Lord Krishna, he appeared like over 5,000 years ago, so long time. But this Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared just 500 something, 530 some years back. And I mean, still that seems a little long, but if you think about it, I mean, you know, my great grandfather, he was born 170 years ago. You know, and all people I have, you know, I know many people in my family, they knew my great grandfather, right? So you just multiply that by 2 more and you got it. You have 500 years right there. So it's not that far. Srila Prabhupada used to say, just in our recent memory, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in a quarter of the town of Navadvip called Mayapur in West Bengal, India. And that was the time, you know, there were contemporaries around the world that at that same time, because we in the West, we learn about various famous people, you know, in that same era, and I don't know if you know any of them. In that same era.
Narsimeta?
Who?
Narsimeta?
Oh, that's in India. Narsimeta was slightly later.
Columbus.
But yeah, Christopher Columbus was born a little earlier. Christopher Columbus, and then you got people like Leonardo da Vinci. You remember Leonardo? Yeah, he was born a little earlier. And then Michelangelo a little earlier also. And then you had Magellan. Remember Magellan? Nobody remembers this. Did you learn about this in history class? Magellan, yeah, he was. So he was a contemporary of Lord Chaitanya. Magellan, Balboa, Cortez, Pizarro, all those guys who were the, you know, European explorers were doing stuff. You know, Shakespeare, yeah, he was slightly older, but contemporary was King Henry VIII, that was contemporary of this time. So this is the period we're talking about. It's not It's not that long ago. And so Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his father's name was, Jagannath Mishra. Mishra is a Brahmin name in Bengal, Odisha also. And his mother was Srimati Sachi Devi. And Jagannath Mishra had come from East Bengal in a place called Sylhet, East Bengal. But then, because at the time when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, the area, the town of Navadvip was a center of education and learning. Just like in the United States, what's the center of education and learning? People go to Boston because there's Harvard and all that, right? Yeah. Right, in England, they used to have Oxford, that's the big university. So at the time, in India, Navadvip was the center, especially the center of learning. So Jagannath Mishra had come from Sylhet to Navadvip, and he was a student of Sachi Devi, who was Lord Chaitanya's mom. He was a student of her father, Nilambaru Chakravarti. Yeah. Very famous scholar at the time. So Jagannath Mishra, he took his domicile, he got married to Sachi Devi, and they took a domicile right on the bank of the Ganges. Chanakya Pandit says, if you want to stay in a city, make sure that there's a few things there for good. There should be a nice river there. There should be friends, and there should be a temple there also. These things are important. So there's the Ganges, was right there, Mother Ganges. And so the couple had daughters, several daughters, but it just so happened that all of those daughters passed away when they were very young. You knew this? You didn't know that? Yeah. Okay. So then, two sons were finally born later, two sons. First son's name was Vishvarup, and the second son's name was Vishvambar. Vishvambar means the one who maintains the whole universe, So that's, we come back to this verse that I said, Ajanu lambita bujo kanukava tato. That means this is a description of Lord Chaitanya. In Lord Chaitanya's early pastimes, while he was in Navadvip, he stayed in Navadvip and had his activities as a student and as a family man in Navadvip for 24 years. Then, after 24 years, you know what happened?
He went to Vrindavan.
He took sannyas, he became a renunciant, gave up the family, and then he went to Jagannath Puri, which is just about 200, 300 kilometers from Navadvip, and then he made that his base. And then for 6 years, he traveled all over the India on foot. No, there was no Uber at that time. So he went by foot all throughout South India, and also went to Mathura, Vrindavan, Allahabad, Prayag, Benares, all those places. And wherever he went, he taught the value of chanting and the importance of chanting the holy names of Krishna. That was 6 years he traveled around. Then for the last 18 years, he stayed in Puri only, and that's where he disappeared from Puri after 48 years. So the first part of Lord Chaitanya's activities in Navadvip were kept in a notebook by one of his associates by the name of Murari Gupta. And the author of Chaitanya Bhagavat, that verse which I quoted, that's from Bhagavat, was named Vrindavan Das Thakur, and he took those notebooks that were written by Murari Gupta at the time of Lord Chaitanya's, and he developed that. He wrote those out in a book called Chaitanya Bhagavat. Then, when Lord Chaitanya went to Puri, his close associate there was named Svarup Damodar Goswami, and he also kept a notebook of his activities. And Krishnadas Kaviraj, who was another associate of Lord Chaitanya Nityananda, he compiled and wrote the Chaitanya Charitamrita following those notebooks of Svarup Damodar Goswami. So the early pastimes were really especially focused on in the what book? Chaitanya Bhagavat. Yeah, Chaitanya Bhagavat. And the later pastimes were especially compiled in Chaitanya Charitamrita, yeah. And in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, both are very important, but there's a little more emphasis put on the later pastimes because in the later activities, Lord Chaitanya was doing lots and lots of teaching. He wasn't teaching as much in the early days. In fact, he had his own school when he was 16. Who has their school in 16? Nobody does, right? Anyway, because he was God. But in the early days, he was mostly teaching grammar and logic. It was only after he took initiation from his guru that he began spreading the chanting of the holy names of God as the most important thing in life. So those later pastimes include Lord Chaitanya's teachings. And many people, we know Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is speaking the science of understanding the soul, different than the body, reincarnation, who is God, what the process of knowing God is. These things are explained in a nutshell in Bhagavad Gita. How long did that teaching take place? You have any idea?
48 minutes.
Muktasanga says 48 minutes. It's pretty good, pretty close, probably around there. Yeah, 48, very short time. But in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching, he taught Ramananda Roy, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Prakashananda Saraswati, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He's taught for days and days and days. The same Krishna, but in the form of Lord Chaitanya, he was elaborating on the information in Bhagavad Gita. You follow? So how much juicy is that information that if you study this information, you can get so much information about how to develop our love for God. So that's more it's both, but especially in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, and you see these pictures in the back. These are different scenes from Lord Chaitanya's life and pastimes here. Okay, so I'll go back to that verse I said in the beginning. We talked about Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavat. That's the first verse of Chaitanya Bhagavat. It goes, Ajanu Lambita Bujo. Ajanu Lambita Bujo means we're talking about not just Lord Chaitanya, but Lord Nityananda also, both of them, because they came together. Their hands were hanging down below their knees. Can you stand up for a moment? How are you going to let your hands hang down? How far is that from the knees?
I think 3 foot. No, like this much.
At least that much. So the Vedas describe what are some of the symptoms of the body of very great personalities. You can have a seat. Thank you. Which is a demonstration. That's very good. One of those very important symptoms is that they have really long arms that go down Ajanu Lambito, down below the knees. Wow. Then Ajanu Lambito, Karukabhatato. Karukabhatato means their bodily form is golden. They're golden. Golden. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya's name is
Golden type.
what is it?
Golden type. Golden.
Gaura. Gaurango means golden form, or Gaur Hari. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a young child, a baby, his mission, as we said, was to popularize the importance of chanting the holy names of Krishna. Because in this current age of Kali, there's really no other effective method for making spiritual progress than chanting the holy names of God. In fact, it says in the Vedas, the revealed scriptures, Krite Yadhyayato Vishnu. Satya Yuga is golden, Treta Yuga is silver, Dvapara Yuga is like copper, and so in Dvapara Yuga, the method of spiritual realization was deity worship. Dvapari Parichaya Kalo Tad Hari Kirtana. But in Kali Yuga, this age, the Iron Age that we're currently experiencing, this Iron Age, the method of self-realization, Hari Kirtan, only chanting the holy names. So, Ajanu Lambi Tabujo, Karo Kabatato. So I was thinking about when Lord Chaitanya was a little baby, his purpose was to spread chanting Hare Krishna. He used to cry. Do you have babies who cry? Do they cry? Babies cry? Of course babies cry. So the only thing that would get him to stop, you know what it was? If the ladies would chant Hare Krishna, then he would stop. And so, you know, that's called there's a certain kind of reinforcement that is. So if to stop an aversive stimulus, somebody does something, you know, they stop an aversive stimulus, that reinforces the activity, right? So if you want to stop it for granted, chant it, so that increases the chanting of Hare Krishna. Yeah. So that's Lord Chaitanya here, that second one. He's being welcomed there, but that's part of that. Right. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in the full moon night, full moon evening, in the month of Falgun, which is, it's an Indian month, right? It's mostly, you know, February, March. That time is February, March. Full moon night, and it was just as the sun set and the moon was rising over the horizon. And you know what else happened at the time? What's that?
Lunar eclipse.
There was an eclipse. An eclipse. So, you know, usually a full moon is a very wonderful sight, isn't it? So you go for a full moon, and people like to go, they go to the Taj Mahal and see the full moon, right? Isn't it? It's because it's a very, very beautiful sight. So the full moon was there, but because it was there was a lunar eclipse, the light of the moon was being overshadowed by the Rahu. So what happens in the Vedas, they consider anytime there's an eclipse, it's considered, you call it grahan? You call it grahan?
Yeah.
Grahan. It's considered an inauspicious time, you know, all the light of the universe, sun, solar eclipse, lunar eclipse is being eclipsed. So people naturally to go to some holy place or holy river and take bath and chant mantras. So at Lord Chaitanya's appearance, the lunar eclipse, everybody in that area went to the Ganges and they were bathing, and you know what they were doing? Chanting Hare Krishna. So just by his appearance, he was getting the residents of that area to chant the holy name of God, just as a precursor to what his mission was. You know, when Lord Krishna came 5,000 years ago and gave his instructions, which are there encapsulated in Bhagavad Gita, he recommended at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, I don't know if you know the teaching, the last teaching of Bhagavad Gita, the final part. Good. Sarva dharman parityajya. Sarva dharman means give up all other kinds of religion. Give up Hinduism. Give up Islam. Give up Christianity. Give up all those. Give up your family dharma, your occupational, all those other dharmas. Give them up. Mam ekam sharanam braja, and just surrender to me. He said. So I will protect you from all sinful reaction, all karma. I'll protect you. Don't worry, he said. But the thing is that shortly after Krishna's appearance and his activities here, people misunderstood. And they began misinterpreting Krishna's words. And they began to think Krishna is just some kind of famous historical personality. And it's really not to Krishna that you have to surrender to. It's to something else. It's the unborn, eternal energy within Krishna. And then even scholars and big, learned people began proposing this kind of understanding of Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, not that long after Krishna left, Lord Chaitanya came. And Lord Chaitanya came just to show people how to follow Krishna's instructions in Bhagavad Gita. How to follow Krishna's instructions in Bhagavad Gita. Because people had forgotten. During Krishna's time, there were some people who tried to imitate Krishna and act like Krishna. Remember there was a guy named Paundraka? He
Yeah.
tried, I've got 4 hands, right? I'm as good. So if the Acharya is saying that if this incarnation of Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, came as exhibiting himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then everybody would try to imitate him next, like their God too. So therefore, he didn't do that. He didn't do that. He came in a covered form, in a covered incarnation, to show as a devotee. But he was God. But he was a devotee, showing how to serve Krishna. So that's very, very, very interesting. The essence of Krishna's teachings were that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That we, all of us, are parts and parcels of him, and our job, our duty in human form of life is to develop our love for him. And that love is most wonderfully displayed and exemplary, in exemplary form by his devotees in Vrindavan, especially the gopis of Vrindavan. So there are other different incarnations of Krishna come, and in their incarnations, they teach about service also. But none of the other incarnations teach how to have that most intimate, pure love of the residents, like the residents of Vrindavan have for Krishna. Lord Chaitanya specifically came to teach you and I that kind of pure love for Krishna. Okay. So, then, Lord Chaitanya was 6. They had this Annaprashana ceremony. Annaprashana means when a baby has the first solid food. Yeah, the first solid. You've done that. You did that one. Yeah, I think so. The first solid food. So usually in that ceremony, there's the baby that's just about when they're starting to crawl. It's a little tough if they don't know how to crawl, if they're not crawling yet. Sometimes, depends. Every kid's different. Sometimes the kid starts to crawl at 9 months, sometimes at 4 months, but anyway. But the parents give a whole array of things that they can go for to see what their proclivities are. The 2 main ones are money, right? And the other side is Srimad Bhagavatam, spiritual teachings. Sometimes people put a stethoscope there, doctors, or a cloud of earth, or some weapons. Yeah, who knows? But anyway, so Lord Chaitanya had this choice. Guess what he went for? Guess what he went for as a choice? The money, right? No, Srimad Bhagavatam. Why? Because Srimad Bhagavatam, right from the beginning, Srimad Bhagavatam, he was teaching the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra goes along with the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam, which teaches about how to develop pure love of God. In the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam it says, Dharma prochita kaitavota paramonya matsaranam satam. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, only the teachings that give you pure love of God are given. Usually, within everybody thinks that the purpose of religion, most of us think the purpose of religion is so that we can get God's help to improve our material condition. Right? That's what we have to go to God for. Something like Santa Claus. Right? Isn't it? Isn't it? We think of God like He's going to give us stuff. Give me this, give me that. That's what it is. Give me this, give me that. Yeah, most of us think that way. And then, when we get stuff that we want, then we use it to gratify our material needs. Usually we forget about the real purpose of life. Usually all those things distract us from the real purpose of life, which is to understand God and awaken our dormant love of Him. Yeah. But this is exactly what Lord Chaitanya taught, chanting the Hare Krishna and the Srimad Bhagavatam, teachings of the Srimad Bhagavatam, right from the very beginning. Then, when he was still a little later, crawling, a Brahmin came to stay. In those days, when somebody came to your house, they call it Atiti Deva Bhava. Have you heard this?
Yeah.
Atiti Deva Bhava. Because they're supposed to, if someone unexpected comes, you give them some place to stay. Unexpected. Because it's almost like they're God. You would treat them like God. So anyway, a Brahmin came, and he brought his small Shalagram Shila deity with him. And it was his practice to cook something nice in the evening time to offer to the deity. Because Krishna takes the form of that deity, so that's how you do some service that way. So he cooked, and he prepared something for the Shalagram. And just as he was doing the offering in his meditation, you know what happened? Lord Chaitanya, as a little child, usually if a child or any other being eats something before it's offered, you can't offer it. So you want to offer only things that are prepared exclusively for God, for Krishna. So Lord Chaitanya came and he ate that. It's the Brahmin got forget it. So he had to start all over again. Did it again, and you know what happened? Yeah, you guessed it. It happened again. Boom. So he got really frazzled. And so he waited until it was late at night. Everybody else was asleep, and all the doors were locked. And he cooked for a third time. He's offering it to his deities in his meditation, and
Again.
little Chaitanya came and take the offering. And so then the guy the Brahmin, he just became completely frustrated. He started to cry. He started to cry. So then Lord Chaitanya, you know what he did? Lord Chaitanya said, he revealed himself as Krishna. He said, your offering is to be a come to take your offering. That's the whole purpose. He said, but you can't tell anybody. You can't tell anybody this. So this is very interesting. Then, when Lord Chaitanya was, before he started his school, he used to go to the Ganges, and in Ganges, all the men people take bath, and there would be Brahmins. He would always tease the Orthodox Brahmins and harass them. This is very interesting. Very interesting. And usually, the young girls on the bank of the Ganges, they would do worship of Lord Shiva. You know why young girls, unmarried girls, worship Lord Shiva?
To get good.
To get a husband who's like Lord Shiva, who's a great devotee. So they would be worshiping Lord Shiva, and Lord Chaitanya would come along and say, hey, instead of giving your offerings to Shiva, he's my devotee. And Durga is my maidservant. Give the offerings to me. And they would complain. Some of them would come, someone do it. But then for those who didn't, he would say, you're going to get married to a man who's got so many children by his previous wife. But those who would give benediction. So like that, he came. Then, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was 15 or so, in India at the time, this is the early pastimes, in India at the time, like here, every town has like their professional team. Some people are very proud. You see, Eagles. Are you an Eagle fan? You better be an Eagle fan. Right? So in India at the time, every town had it was different. They had their scholar debater. And the debaters would have away games. They would have away games and home games. They'd have away games, and they would debate with the best scholar in the other towns, and whoever would debate, they would not only, they wouldn't just win and get some money, but if the person who was defeated would have to do service for the others and have to accept them as their teacher. So it was a big deal. It wasn't just, So anyway, there was one very, very big scholar. His name is Keshav Kashmiri. Kashmiri means from Kashmir. Kashmir. So he was very well renowned all over India, and he had gone everywhere ahead of time, all these away games, and he had defeated so many of the scholars. And he put forth that he was coming to Navadvip, which was a center of learning, center of learning. So he said he sent out his challenge, and all the teachers, the big sages and learned people of Navadvip became a little concerned because they didn't want to get defeated by this Keshav Kashmir. So they came up with a plan. You know what their plan was? They said, listen, we'll put Lord Chaitanya, his name at that time was Nimai Pandit. The reason his name was Nimai Pandit was because he was born under a neem tree. Neem, Nimai, neem tree. A neem tree is special because its leaves are medicinal.
bitter,
Uh,
very bitter.
yeah, medicinal, but it gets rid of parasites and stuff, and also gets away ghosts too. Did you know that? Yeah. So Nimai and Pandit, because he was very learned. So they said, if we put forth Nimai Pandit, then if he wins, they will say, hey, even a little child from Navadvip could beat this big shot. And if he loses, they say, well, he's a child, what do you do? So that was their strategy. They had a strategy, right? Anyway, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Keshava Kashmiri met on the bank of the Ganges, and when they met, they were very respectful. And then Lord Chaitanya said, oh, great Pandit, please, why don't you compose some verses in praise of Mother Ganges? This was a challenge, right? A challenge. So, right then and there, this Keshav Kashmiri, he composed, right there on the spot, this is 100 poetic verses. We can't write a poem in 6 months, but he was right there on the spot. He did 100 poetic verses. So he was very proud of himself. And then he says, okay, Nimai Pandit, what do you think? And so, you know what Nimai Pandit said? He said, very nice. But there were a few mistakes that you made. In verse number 68, you said, Bhavani Bhartu. Bhavani means the wife of Lord Shiva, and Bhartu means the husband of the wife of Lord. So it's redundant. It's as if Parvati has some other husband. It doesn't make sense. And then he pointed out some others. He had memorized all the different shlokas and pointed out their strengths and their faults. So Keshava Kashmiri, the great scholar who traveled all over India, he was defeated. And he said he was really crestfallen. And he went home, and that night he was just beside himself in unhappiness. Because how this little teenage kid had. So, but then he was a follower of goddess Saraswati, the goddess of learning. So she came to him in a dream and said, it's not such a thing. This is my Lord. So you should accept defeat and follow him. So this is happening. So anyway, Lord Chaitanya, he had his school. He was teaching philosophy, Nyaya, logic. He was teaching grammar. Sanskrit grammar is a very elaborate thing. Then his father passed away. And traditionally, when a family member, or especially the father, passes away in that part of India, they go to Gaya. Gaya is on the Ganges. Actually, right off the Ganges, there's a river called Falguni. And there's an impression of the lotus feet of Vishnu. And so they offer special pinda, worship and memories for the departed ancestor, for the benefit of the departed soul. So Lord Chaitanya went to Gaya to do this ceremony, Shraddha ceremony. And there he met Ishwara Puri, his spiritual master. And Ishwara Puri, he had actually previously met him when they had traveled in Navadvip, but he was very happy to meet his spiritual master, and he asked for his instruction. Ishwara Puri was a sannyasi, a renunciate in the line from Madhvacharya, Narad Muni, down the line. Madhavendra Puri. Puri is a sannyas name. So then he said to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, Nimai Pandit, Pandit means very learned. Nimai Pandit, I'm sorry, you're a fool. Usually you don't say that, you don't hear that kind of stuff, do you? Teachers don't say that to their students too much. Nobody would want to come and hear from them, right? You're a fool. And then Lord Chaitanya said, what do you mean? I'm a Pandit. How could you call me? No, he didn't say that. He didn't say that. He said, oh, I accept my spiritual. He's calling me a fool. And then he said, the reason, because you don't have any qualification to study Vedanta Sutra, you should always keep the holy name of Krishna within your throat. Always keep the holy name of Krishna there, because by chanting just by chanting Hare Krishna, that will save you from death and allow you to get personal sight, darshan, of the lotus feet of the Lord. Like that, he said. So this is the beginning where Lord Chaitanya began teaching about value of chanting the holy names of Krishna. Before he was doing more scholarship type, but at that time he took the instruction of the spiritual master, he took it to heart, and he began spreading the chanting of the holy names of Krishna. This is called, that chanting of the holy name that can be done two ways. One is individually, that's usually by japa, and when you do it together, that's called sankirtana. Sankirtana means everybody does it together. This is the particular recommended process of jagya in this age. Jagya, sankirtan jagya. In the Vedas, it's said that, like, you get a bill for your electricity, right? You get a bill for your electricity. You get a water bill.
Yeah.
What happens if you don't pay them?
You
It gets off, right? It gets cut off. You get cut off. Similarly, we're taking advantage of the sunlight, the moonlight, right? The rain. These are all coming from different demigods. And unless you pay the demigods their due, which is called, how do you do that? By jagya. You know what happens? They get shut off. You won't get your needs. In fact, in the marriage ceremony, when people get married, they have something called Panchasuna Jagya or Panchamahajagya. Because, just by doing things like lighting fire, walking, breathing, grinding spices, you kill living entities, And if you're doing it for your own purposes, you're going to suffer from that, killing those living entities. So therefore, everybody, when they get married, they're supposed to agree that they're going to do 5 kinds of yajna every day. Because if you don't, you know what happens? You got to pay for those. That's why you see, like, the Jains, they wear those masks because they don't want to kill any living entity by breathing. Right? Okay, so you got to pay for the demigods. You got to pay for those living entities. What about those yajnas? All those yajnas. Who's doing them nowadays? Does anybody do them? No. So you must. Lord Chaitanya said, in order, all those you can, if you do the Sankirtan Yajna, the results of all those other yajnas will be done by the Sankirtan Yajna. Everything else, all other yajnas will be complete by doing Sankirtan Yajna. Is you water the root of the tree, all the parts of the tree are satisfied. Right? You give food to the stomach, all the parts of the body get satisfied. You give the Sankirtan Yajna, all the demigods, all the other yajnas will be satisfied. But you got to do it. If you don't do it, you know what? You got bills to pay, and you got a lot of bills to pay. Right? So Lord Chaitanya, he by his personal example, every morning and every evening he used to do Sankirtan. Do you know that? Every morning and every evening. It's very interesting because when Srila Prabhupada, he had a meeting scheduled with Indira Gandhi when she was Prime Minister of India. And he wrote down all these he was going to request. First thing he wanted was permanent visas for his devotees in India or from the United States. First thing. The second thing, he said, these are his recommendations if you want to make India a very, very good place. He said, have all the ministers and government people attend Sankirtan every morning and every evening. Whoa. Really? This is it. It's written down almost every morning and evening. That's called Sankirtan. If we don't do it, you got bills to pay, man. You got bills, and the IRS is going to come after you. You got bills to pay. So Lord Chaitanya, he every morning he would go out, and it's called. There's a nice prayer by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It goes, Jeev Jago, Gora Chandra Bole. He would go out in the morning, early in the morning with his associates, and go to different towns and villages and say, Emono Dulava Madhava Deha, Payakikara Bhavana Keha. Oh people, wake up. You're spending too much time sleeping. and the days you're spending decorating your body. You don't know that this human life is a special gift. Use this gift, the human life is a special gift, in order for you to develop your love of God. Don't waste your time. So he'd go all over the different towns and villages and say that. That's right. And then in the evening time, he would go with his special associates, and they would have sun kirtan for 2 hours every evening at night. So this is, we're small timers here. We do kirtan every couple times a week, right? But we got to pay the price. So because Lord Chaitanya, we're doing this. This Hare Krishna movement is the personification of Lord Chaitanya's instructions. Srila Prabhupada, who brought the Hare Krishna movement to the West, he did so because following the order of Lord Chaitanya through his own spiritual master. Lord Chaitanya wanted that this chanting of the holy names be spread in every town and village all over the world. And Lord Chaitanya wanted that. And to fulfill that, Srila Prabhupada came not only here, but all over. Even to Moscow, South Africa, and South America, and Mexico, and all those places. Yeah, to fulfill that. This is all predicted, also in the Srimad Bhagavatam. There's a very nice verse that goes, Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Pulkasha. You know this one? Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Shuddhanti Prabhu Vishnave Namaha. He said, Shukadeva Goswami was telling Maharaj Parikshit, he said, there's all these kinds of people all over the world. There's Kiratas, these are hunters. Pulinda, Pulkasha, these are Mongolians. They mentioned all these different races. And they're often all involved in all kinds of karmic activities. But they can all be delivered and purified. Prabhu Vishnave Namaha. By association of the devotees of Krishna. So that's a prediction of this Hare Krishna movement. So Lord Chaitanya has requested this, and the ripples of Lord Chaitanya's order are coming by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, and this Hare Krishna movement. So please partake of this chanting of the holy names, yourself individually and collectively, and help this movement make progress. We're struggling here. Help this movement make progress, because it'll be good for you and good for the whole world. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. You have a question?
Yeah. So, can you say a little bit about the golden age? Is there like a 10,000-year period or something?
That's what they say. That after Lord Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya always appears right after Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna appears once every day of Brahma, which is like, there's many other, there's avatars in every age, which is, but once in a day of Brahma, which is 4,300,000,000 years, Krishna comes, Lord Krishna. And right after Krishna, shortly after Krishna, Lord Chaitanya appears. And then after Lord Chaitanya, supposed to be that for 10,000 years, up and down, 5 and 5, that the chanting of the holy names, that'll rise. We're 500 now, yeah. When Srila Prabhupada actually started, before Srila Prabhupada came to the West, even among his godbrothers, people were wondering, what is this prediction of Lord Chaitanya? It was symbolic. They were taking it as something symbolic, spreading around the world. How's that? But then Srila Prabhupada actually did it. And this is amazing because in his lifetime, you think about it, in his lifetime, the chanting of the holy names in Bhakti Yoga, pure devotional service, Bhagavad Gita, got spread around the globe in his lifetime. Think about it. Other exponents of religion, very, very, like Lord Jesus Christ. Christianity spread around the world, but it took how long? 1,000 years, many. How about Islam? Islam spread also, very big, but it took many, many, many years. It wasn't in and of course, there's the jet planes and things like that, but still, without any institutional backing, Srila Prabhupada spread the movement of Hare Krishna around the world, because it's the natural consciousness of every living entity. And regardless of their background, regardless of their nationality, regardless of their religion, every soul is an eternal servant of God. And if the knowledge and the information that's given helps you to develop that service of God, that will make you happy, no matter what your background, no matter what your condition. And that's what was delivered by Lord Chaitanya and carried by Srila Prabhupada. And the effects are seen all over the world. I mean, the United States is one place, but there's all over the world, is there? Even in Russia now, it's like gangbusters. In India, it's gangbusters. In the beginning, when the Hare Krishna chanting came along in India, they made this movie. It was called Dam Marudam, Hare Krishna. Because they were thinking, what is this Hare Krishna? I remember, but it wasn't that long ago, maybe 20 years ago. You go to India, and wearing dhoti and everything, and people would make fun of you. They'd laugh at you. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Now, no, it's not like that. People respect because this is not some fly-by-night CIA kind of thing. No. This is actual religion. It's actual pure religion. Lord Chaitanya's thing, not ours thing. Lord Chaitanya's thing. It's not an American thing. Lord Chaitanya taught this pure devotional service, the chanting of the holy names, and the devotees who are seriously following it, they have potency. They can affect people's lives in a very positive way, and they can help make people happy. We want to be happy. But this is a very wonderful method to make you spiritually happy by practice. So hopefully this will go on for so many years. Yes, sir.
It seemed that when Srila Prabhupada was here, it was such an explosion as you were explaining. And today, in many other places around the globe, Krishna consciousness is an explosion. So I was wondering whether some of the things you think we can do here in Philadelphia, locally, to bring back about that energy.
More Sankirtan. More Sankirtan. Chanting the holy names. Chanting the holy names is what Prabhupada also, following his guru, said that Sankirtan includes distributing books and literature about Krishna. That's called Brihat Mridanga. There's, Kirtan you have one Mridanga, but Brihat Mridanga, the Mridanga means it can be heard around the world when you distribute a book. Like when they first were distributing literature in Russia, they had to sneak it in because religion was against the law in Russia, in USSR at the time. And they would bring it in, they'd sneak it in false bottoms and in vans and stuff. And one book of Bhagavad Gita would be read and copied 50 times, 100 times. One. Yeah, that's also Mridanga. So your question is, we need more regular involvement with Sankirtan and book distribution. Simple. What do you think? What do you think?
I believe that too. I'm just wondering how the answers there. I'm wondering how we begin to implement it. To put it into motion so that we can see if we can manifest here.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that. We'll work on that. See, you're sitting next to Bhakta Ed. Bhakta Ed took it on himself to every Wednesday he sponsors a Sankirtan here in the temple every single Wednesday. And we get about 20, 25 people. But if we actually actually realized that this is the most important method for developing spiritual consciousness, we would expect there to be more. Yeah. This is the Hare Krishna movement. This is the Sankirtan movement. So, by doing more you do, then the more it'll grow and grow and grow. I mean, we talk about the early days of Hare Krishna movement, and it's kind of like when I was a boy, I used to walk 6 miles in the snow to go to school. Okay, I know that. But But, you know, every devotee in the Hare Krishna movement, every morning, every evening, all day was just Sankirtan, Sankirtan, Sankirtan. Every single day. So that was powerful. That was powerful. So the more we could come together, Sankirtan means coming together, you know, not just by myself, but coming together to chant the holy names and spread Krishna consciousness, spread book distribution. That will be very powerful very quickly. Yes, sir. Wednesday at 6:30, yeah, about there. Bring a friend, yeah. You said that, I said. Yeah, I mean, and of course people say, well, it's inconvenient for me, it's a weekday. Yeah, but Jagya means it's inconvenient. Austerity means it's a little inconvenient. If a spiritual life was really just without any inconvenience, then it would be different. But of course it's a little inconvenient, of course. But you know, that's how we make progress. That's called austerity. Alrighty. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Vishnugada, for speaking on the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, especially those early lifetime pastimes. They were quite sweet, don't you think? A lot of times we hear about Lord Chaitanya performing Sankirtan, but his earlier life, oftentimes we don't hear so much about. So thank you so much, Vishnugada, for help preparing us as we approach Purnima. So, we want to thank our Sunday Feast sponsors tonight. First, we have Sumit Gupta. I'd like to ask him to come forward if he's here. Sumit. He sponsored Vishnugada. Are you here? Maybe you could present him.
No, I have to check out something.
His father, Rajendra Kumar Gupta, this is his death anniversary. So we wanted to pray for Rajendra Kumar, and we ask the devotees to please raise their hands in the air and chant the holy names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We have a garland for you. We also have, this is Mahaprasad. These are the Mangalartik sweets that are offered to the deities every morning at 4:30 a.m. And also Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna. And then next we have Swapna and Paridar. They are celebrating their wedding anniversary today. Are they here with us? Please come forward. Hare Krishna. Congratulations. So, how many years has it been? 20th anniversary? 12. 12 years. All right. It's your 12th year, and we wish you many, many more years of happiness and strength. And we ask the devotees to offer them their prayers for continued life together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I'm going to ask your daughter to put a garland around both of you. sponsoring.
Congratulations.
Hare Krishna. Congratulations. So tonight the Sunday feast was cooked by a number of devotees. A number of devotees came together. I'd like to recognize them. We had the Jain family, Arun and Mrs. Jain. They were in the kitchen, they were cooking. We had Devati Deva Prabhu, we had Vishnugada Prabhu, a few others that were here earlier today to help. Earlier on today, it was really a very beautiful thing. We had probably about 20 to 30 devotees, people that came together to help make decorations for Gaura Purnima. It was really high energy earlier on today. So we're looking forward to tomorrow's celebration. Tomorrow is the appearance day of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, March 9th, Monday. And it'll begin tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. That's right, not 5 p.m., but 5 a.m. Everybody's invited to come to the Mangalarti. This is the auspicious time of the day, the beginning of the day. It's the first artik of the day, and it'll be the first darshan for Gaura Purnima. Also, in addition to the artik, you can stay and chant japa with the devotees. And then there'll also be kirtan after that. There'll be a class on Lord Chaitanya. And that'll be the morning. And then in the evening, which most of you will attend, or will be much well attended, that'll begin at 4:30. So I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that please take off a little bit early, because we're going to start early. So at 4:30, Vishnugada Prabhu will be speaking on the Shishastakam. These are the 8 writings that Lord Chaitanya had left. And he left these in order to teach us how to properly chant the holy name. So Vishnugada Prabhu just gave a really wonderful talk on Lord Chaitanya's early pastimes, and he'll be speaking again tomorrow for an hour between 4:30 and 5:30. 5:30 there'll be artik. 6 o'clock there will be Abhishek. So Abhishek will go on for about 45 minutes. So again, please don't be late. If you come in at 7 o'clock and you expect to see the Abhishek, you're going to miss it. So this Abhishek will be done. It's not. Anyway, we'll see tomorrow. It'll be 6 o'clock. There'll be kirtan going on, and there'll be opportunities for congregation members if they want to come forward and sponsor and also do Abhishek. There'll be a play, a drama. There'll be prasadam. Tomorrow is a fast until moonrise. So moonrise is, one time Srila Prabhupada was asked, what time is moonrise? He says, you go outside and look, when you see the moon, that's when you know it's moonrise. So our prasadam will be served out at 8 o'clock tomorrow. And we're asking the devotees if you'd like to come. It's a wonderful day to take off, to increase your chanting, perform extra devotional activities, come here to chant. But you can also help in the kitchen if you want to. We have a lot of cut-up that we have to do. If you are initiated and would like to participate in some of the cooking activities, if you're interested in helping out, Vishnugada Prabhu, the one who just spoke, please approach him, because he's helping. He's the one organizing the feast. So again, tomorrow, please spread the word, and hopefully we'll have a lot of good turnout, a lot of great kirtan to praise Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Going on throughout the week, even though tomorrow is a big event, we'll still continue our weekly programs. Tuesday is our stories from the Srimad Bhagavatam, starting at 6:30, going to 8. On Wednesday, we have our Wednesday night kirtan, 6:30 to 8, followed by prasadam. And then on Thursday, we have our Srila Prabhupada night. So we have lots of activities going on at the temple throughout in the evenings. So please join us for inspiration throughout the week. So I wanted to make an announcement. Vishnugada Prabhu made a note of it at the beginning of the class. And I know it's a concern to some, and because it's a concern to some, we wanted to inform everybody of kind of what we're doing here in Philadelphia. This is involving the coronavirus. So you see different places are sending out different news on this. And all our programs are continuing on. There's no need at this point to stop any of our programs or alter any of our programs. We just have to make sure we use some good hygiene and common sense. So if you feel really, really sick, and you probably wouldn't go to work, and you probably wouldn't do anything, it's better to probably stay home. I mean, this goes whether there's the coronavirus or no coronavirus. Basic things when you hygiene, wash your hands properly, when it's time to wash your hands. If you're going to be serving prasadam, make sure you're wearing gloves. We have gloves already. This is a common practice that we do. Make sure you wash your hands even also before you put the gloves on. Things that we're doing here, take extra precaution. You'll see hand sanitizer at the front desk. If you want, use the hand sanitizer. We wipe down twice a day now all the doors, handles, stuff like that, with sanitation wipes. The flour, this is something that was recommended by our governing body. We offer flour to the deities, and then we pass it around for everybody to smell. Until this kind of scare is over, and I use the word scare very lightly, because in Pennsylvania there's only 2 people that have been tested and reported. It's really nothing to get worked up about. That's one of the precautionary measures again that we're doing. That's one thing we're going to take the flour and we'll offer to Srila Prabhupada, but it will not be passed around. So if you have any questions about it, please come see me. There will be an announcement made through our newsletter as well. But again, it's just about common sense approach, about taking it. And we're definitely interested in having a really wonderful Gaur Purnima festival, lots of devotees chanting and dancing, celebrating the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. So at this point, we will ask the children, are they here?
Yeah.
Are they going to do the prasadam prayers?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to be serving prasadam in just a minute after we glorify prasadam and Krishna's mercy. Got it up here?
This practice has been started all over the ISKCON temple, right? Prasad, prayer, right? Here also started. Kancha?
For those who have missed
Instruction
very
comes from there
few
sometimes.
pious activities, their faith in Mahaprasad and Sri Govinda and the holy name and the Vishnuvas is never born. O Lord, this material body is a place of ignorance, and the senses are a network of paths leading to death. Somehow we have fallen into this ocean of material sense enjoyment, and of all the senses, the tongue is the most voracious and uncontrollable. It is very difficult to conquer the tongue in this world. But you, dear Krishna, are very kind to us and have given us such nice prasadam just to control the tongue. Now we take this prasadam to our full satisfaction and glorify their Lordship, Shri Radha Krishna, and in love call for the help of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda.
Yes.